Welcome to episode 2 from my groundbreaking mini-series, Practical Life Hacks for Women Living with an Ostomy. Today, we are going to be talking about essential blowout solutions for leaky ostomates. The average ostomate changes their bag or their base plate combo probably 3 to 7 days. Although many ostomates do report having to change their equipment multiple times a day due to breaches, blowouts, pancaking, and leaks. Imagine at roughly 30 minutes each time, that can easily add up to a lot of time that you're shorted each day, each week, each month due to this frustrating and oftentimes really heartbreaking and embarrassing situation. Not to mention the cost. And to take it one step further, nothing can be more upsetting to an ostomate than leaks. Of course, they're easy enough to deal with when you've got your supplies at hand, if you're at home. They're humiliating, particularly if you're out shopping in a restaurant or at work. No wonder we're frustrated by leaks. Leaks can actually start in a number of different ways, but fortunately, we do have a lot of options for dealing with them. The first step when trying to solve a problem with a leak is to find the cause. This may or may not be easy or obvious, but there are a few kind of typical things that cause a leak, and knowing what to look for can really help to figure things out. So in this episode, I'm going to share my 10 essential blowout solutions to give you some insight into the most common causes and the ways of dealing with them. My name is Dr. Susie LeBrocq at www.DocLeBrocq.com. You can find the spelling and the link to that in the preamble of this video below. I'm a psychotherapist and I've been working in the field of mental health for over 20 years. You can find this episode at DocLeBrocq.com/Life Hacks Episode 2. I teach female ostomates to reclaim their body, mind, and sexuality using proven tools to heal past their pain and step into their personal power. My superpower is my story. I'm an example of what's possible for you. By turning my medical trauma, my ileostomy, 9 surgeries, being in a coma, into the empowerment that I used to pursue my dreams. I used my story to achieve my highest calling, which was a PhD, and ultimately using my suffering to teach others. So I go before you with my personal journey of survival. By virtue of being a patient in the medical trenches, by making mistakes, shedding so many tears, but experiencing incredible wins, I'll guide you to develop a loving and healthy relationship with yourself that will lead to personal power renewal through inner transformation. So today we're talking about breaches, blowouts, pancaking, and leaks. To make things a little bit easier, I've written my essential blowout solutions in a quick 2-page handout for you to keep as a checklist before you go about your day. It's available to download for free at the link below, DocLeBrocq.com/Life Hacks Episode 2. Let's go to essential blowout solution number 1, improper appliance fit. So, things change in the first few months. It's really important to note that these kind of leaks are common in the first few months after surgery because our stomas are often swollen, and after some time they shrink and it will leave a larger gap for output to get through. If you're a new ostomate, don't be discouraged by this. Once your stoma settles and you get the hang of your appliance changes, it does get easier. It is important to follow your stoma nurse's instructions when it comes to changing your appliance, especially if you have a stoma that is not shaped regularly, like a loop ileostomy. But the process for most ostomates is pretty straightforward. If you use a pre-cut or a cut-to-fit wafer, it's important to make sure that the hole your stoma goes through has a gap of around 1/8 of an inch. Don't worry about the gap though, because the wafers do swell and they will fill up that gap really easily. If you're using a moldable wafer, it's suggested that the hole fits exactly flush around your stoma with no gap. My rule of thumb is to make sure that you have spare equipment in your purse, in your car, at work, and so on. Also, I like to pack a clean outfit to keep on hand, so if the worst happens and I do have a leak, I can change and continue going about my day. Essential blowout solution number 2, the flush or retracted stoma. If you don't already know, check out what type of stoma you have with your nurse right away. Ideally, your stoma should stick out a bit to allow output to fall away from your skin, but sometimes ostomates aren't so lucky, and the stoma doesn't stick out enough, or it's slightly retracted, and that can cause leaks because the output goes under the wafer instead of kind of over the top and to the bottom of the bag. If your stoma is flush with your skin or it retracts below the skin, you may need to use a convex wafer. The convexity actually pushes the skin around your stoma and kind of helps the stoma to pop out a bit, which many ostomates find dramatically reduces leaks. It's normal for your stoma to expand and contract as the result of peristalsis. Now, that's not generally enough to cause a leak, but if there is a blockage, for instance, it may well be that the waves of peristalsis may cause the output to get pushed underneath the wafer. My rule of thumb is to put your stoma nurse on speed dial, and don't be afraid to keep calling if your appliances aren't working. I know sometimes we feel like a bit of a nuisance, but they really are there to help. Essential blowout solution number 3, skin allergies. Keep a note of any appliances that give your skin problems. Unfortunately, allergies to the adhesives used in the wafers do happen, and they often cause problems with the wafer sticking to the skin. If this happens, you may get leaks because you're not getting a proper seal around the stoma. I would suggest talking to a stoma nurse to find ways of dealing with allergies. Sometimes it may be simply trying a different brand, but if your skin is really sore and raw, you'll probably need some kind of wound care. My rule of thumb is to try and wash your skin with Head & Shoulders dandruff shampoo whilst having that delightful naked shower. And if possible, go bagless for a little bit to allow your skin to breathe. Essential blowout solution number 4, improper skin care. Dry, cracked, and damaged skin can no longer effectively protect nerve endings and can cause real sensitivity with your skin. Did you know that your hair conditioner and shampoo can cause your wafer not to stick? Anything that you use on your skin can have a residue, so it's crucial to make sure that your skin is free of residue from any of the products you use, whether or not they're ostomy products. So it's important not to use skin moisturizer or oils near your stoma, including soap that might contain moisturizer or conditioner. Some ostomates use baby wipes. I know I used to, which often contain ingredients that stay on your skin and impact your wafer. So if you need to use wipes, find one that's made for cleaning peristomal skin and make sure that you really rinse it well after using it. If you're using an adhesive remover when doing appliance changes, make sure to thoroughly wash your skin to remove all of the residue that's left behind. Some adhesive removers are better than others when it comes to washing off skin, so try a few and see which one you prefer. My rule of thumb is that when applying your wafer, make sure your skin is bone dry. So use a hairdryer on a cool setting so that it really dries up your skin and you get a really good seal. Essential blowout solution number 5. Our weight, age, or surgical scars can create divots and creases around the stoma. These can offer up a really nice opportunity for leaks to tunnel right underneath your wafer. The most common way of dealing with this is to use stoma paste or a barrier ring or a combination of the two. My rule of thumb is to get in touch with your stoma nurse if your leaks are caused by uneven skin, and they'll give you some really specific instructions that are unique to your situation. Essential blowout solution number 6, pancaking. That means your stool is stuck around the stoma. So, nobody told you about lubrication either, huh? Pancaking is when the output from your stoma collects near the top of your pouch or around your stoma and it doesn't fall to the bottom of the bag. This can be annoying, not only when you're trying to empty your pouch, but it can also lead to leaks if your output pushes outwards onto your appliance. So my rule of thumb is using a small amount of baby oil or olive oil within the pouch and kind of around the top of your stoma that helps drop the contents to the bottom of the pouch. You can also use rolled up toilet tissue, which stops the pouch from vacuuming against the stoma. Essential blowout solution number 7, or ballooning, when gas fills your pouch. Gas needs somewhere to go, and perhaps one of the most common reasons why I get nighttime leaks is ballooning. This happens when gas fills my pouch without any way to escape. Naturally, as the gas builds up, the gas finds its way under the appliance, resulting in a leak. The ideal way of dealing with ballooning is to use an appliance with an effective filter, but that's easier said than done. This may be something that you'll have to experiment with. Some filters work really well, whereas others really don't. Here are some other ways of dealing with ballooning. Keep a food diary to help identify any gas-causing foods and eliminate them or reduce them from your diet. Have regular meals which keep gas to a minimum. Maybe use digestive enzymes with food that you notice are problematic to you to reduce the gas. Setting a calendar to wake up at night so that you can release gas and empty your pouch. Periodically venting your pouch, allowing gas to escape between the phalangeal coupling, or by using something like a Gas X tablet. My rule of thumb is if you find a filter that works but clogs after a few days, swap the pouch more often. If you use a 2-piece or if you use a 1-piece, replace your appliance more often. Essential blowout solution number 8, overusing or misusing supplies. Believe it or not, less is more. The goal when wearing an appliance, honestly, is to use as few products as possible to achieve a good fit and longer wear. Sometimes that might mean using a moldable ring or a barrier wipe, but it's often not necessary to use 4 or 5 different products at the same time. So my rule of thumb is to use products only if it's indicated or if your stoma nurse suggests that you do. You may be instructed to use different things temporarily in order, say, to correct an acute skin problem, but most of the time, less is best. Essential blowout solution number 9, letting your pouch get too full or improper support. So really keeping on top of your output. I imagine that we have all been guilty of letting our pouch fill up before emptying it. It happens. It's really recommended that we empty our pouch when it gets to about a third full. If you let your bag get too full, it becomes heavy and it naturally tugs on your skin and causes a leak. Be mindful, though, that if you're wearing a large bag, 1/3 full is probably going to be heavy enough to tug on your wafer. So my rule of thumb is to avoid this by emptying your pouch as often as you can to avoid it getting too full. If you need a little bit more support, try a support garment or a support accessory belt, which hooks onto the belt loops of your appliance and creates a little bit more safety. Essential blowout solution number 10, waiting too long to change your appliance. Don't push the limits. Supplies can be expensive, and honestly, changing them can be time consuming. But if you're wearing your appliance longer than you should, you are going to end up with leaks and skin problems. There really is no right length of time to wear your appliance. Some people change their wafer every day. Some people go for much longer. It depends on the condition of your skin, quality of the wafer, how much you sweat, how much you swim, or you have water exposure, if you're using skin products, and so on. As you become accustomed to having an ostomy, you'll figure out a regular schedule for your appliance changes that keep your wear time consistent. There may be special cases where this schedule can't be kept. And it's important to keep in mind, though, that if you do experience any burning or itching under your wafer, it really is probably time to change it. Most regular wear wafers are designed to be worn for roughly 2 to 3 days, while extended wear wafers get roughly 5 to 7 days. Some wafers are also designed to handle an ileostomy output, which is more liquid, so they break down slower than the standard wafers. Check with your supplier to make sure that you're using the one that's right for your output. My rule of thumb is always prepare ahead of time, so if an accident does happen, you're ready to go. Again, my name is Dr. Susie LeBrocq at www.doclebrock.com. And if you like to take a look at the handout attached to this, doclebrock.com/lifehacks episode 2. Thank you and have a great day.